Welcome everyone. So much people. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Thank you for all being here, all the way from Groningen.
And other places maybe?
Also.
Where do we come from?
Originally.
Originally, yeah, all over the world. So Helia, thank you for all of this.
Thank you. The opportunity was great, so I'm gonna miss the studio a lot.
Yeah, just stay.
Yeah, I
It's
think
yours.
so. I think I left a mark there, so
Yeah.
we don't know.
So, when you came to Bierum, the first thing you said to me, and to all of us, I bring chaos to Bierum, and you did. I hope that's a compliment for you.
I think it is, yes.
So I now regret the lack of light, but I'll manage. Your energy, I think it's present in the work. You have a lot of energy. I think it reflects your energy. The work reflects your energy. How do you see this?
I think I never thought about it like that before, but I think it's my way of releasing that energy because there's so much of it that sometimes I don't know what to do with. And before, when I did way more digital work, that energy kept getting locked up and locked up. And I think working with materials really like kind of opens the lid, and then it just goes everywhere. And sometimes it's hard to close that lid because when I get into motion, I don't know how to stop. But I think I don't know. I don't know it without that energy. It's like yeah, it's always there.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a bit about your method? What is your method of working? Is there a method?
Well, yes and no. I think I mentioned this a few times. Like working a lot with like the digital medium gave me this kind of way of thinking of working in the physical world as well with the physical objects. For example, when you make something in your computer in Blender, when you make an object, there's no laws of physics, and there's no rules. You can make something float, you can make something melt, and that freedom, that way of thinking is something I try to take from that attitude. Not always it works, of course, because there is gravity in real life, and it's hard to defy it. But you can pour like a baton at the bottom of something, and you can float a bit. But I think when it comes with the sculptures, I constantly recycle everything I use. So for me, every material does not need to be new or old. And it doesn't matter what kind of a material it is, as long as it brings the thing together. It can be foam, it can be cement, it can be wood. And I find great pleasure in working with this kind of materials because they're constantly all around us. And there's like a right ways to use them and there's wrong ways to use them, and I love to use them in the wrong way because I'm not necessarily a builder, so a lot of times I have to make extra structures to make something stand or make something work, and I think that's also part of it.
Mm-hmm. A question came up in the middle of your story and now I forgot it, but maybe it will
Come again.
Yeah. How do you process your idea?
I work actually at the beginning very much with concepts and research. So I get hooked on something and then I dive into it way too deep. And before it used to be that I tried to plan and conceptualize that thought or that research that I was doing, and that's also what was one of the things that blocked that energy, because I cannot. I really tried to put myself in a box, but it didn't work out. So
When was this?
this was, I think, like my first year of my master's that I started playing around, and I think Kaz, he's like also an inspiration for me because the way he used to work in the studio really inspired me. And one day I was there and he had all this leftover materials, and I asked, can we make something? And we started playing around, and then all the leftovers of the studio became an installation, and that felt really good to make. So I make more and more, and yeah, here we are.
Could you say you're now playing more?
Yes, definitely. And also I think what happens is that research can go parallel now with the making. Before I kind of had to take the research, the next step would be the making. Now they go quite separate. And it's funny because it kind of pops out. I've been researching a lot how places and spaces work, how heterotopias work, how liminal spaces work. And when I was building up, I had an image in my head of how this room should look like. I knew at the beginning, for example, I wanted to divide the rooms in Y2 or in Bierumer into other rooms or create other spaces and spaces.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the thought behind, but it's not controlled by it at all. So I'll make something and suddenly, this looks too good. And then it's like 3 hours later, I'm still working on that thing, completely forgotten what my plan was. So yeah, it's very chaotic, but it's fun.
But then again, my question was, how do you process? I mean,
Yeah,
I can imagine that the week after this weekend,
that's not going to be the processing week.
you're gonna be, okay,
Yeah.
what happened?
Definitely. I think I also listen a lot to feedbacks, I have to say. I'm very open. So, for example, it was very interesting that I had the Y2 exhibition before this, because the back-to-back of it, you know, it really gave me this vision that I don't usually have. So I was able to see my first products of my ideas and then look at it and hear what people think. And the one, like, I think that really shaped this. And
That's perfect, isn't it?
I enjoyed
Yeah.
taking, I'm not always open, but usually when people give feedbacks, I really do think about it. And for example, with Y2, maybe there was a bit that everything was focused in a certain way, and I was like, I tried to change it a little bit, and then it reflected itself in this installation, because I didn't want to have a back and a front and a side and a corner or one object. So I think the dynamic of having to create Y2 and here also gave me this opportunity to process it in a different way.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I think I constantly process it. I'm still processing my previous works. Sometimes I look at some things that I did a while back and I'm like, oh, okay, that's why I did this, or that's how it happened.
Yeah. 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 Did you tell people when you finished this exhibition, or you want to keep it a secret?
When I finish this exhibition.
Yeah, when it was all done.
Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
morning at 7 in the morning we finished, and I wanna thank Kos, because he's been my biggest supporter and he was awake with me until 5 years. Please. And I want to thank also this Livia, because without her mini computers this technology wouldn't be running, and of course Eigen Risico and Bierumer School and Y2 and everybody who joined the bus.
So you already told something about the materials, but why these materials? I mean, when I look at your materials, it's poisoning.
Yeah, definitely.
But still, it is like food. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's very physical, and I'd like to have a bite, but of course,
It has a
no.
quality to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons is that my brain sometimes works so fast that I have to keep up with it. So when I want to make, so I want to be able to use materials that also can reflect to that. If it's going to take for me 5 hours to see the results, the idea's gone, I'm gone. Like, it's not gonna work.
What's happening then? I mean, what would happen?
I did that multiple times. It's just that I get too bored, I get distracted, the moment is gone. It has to really happen in that. So that's why I love working with foam, because also if you don't have any technical skills, you can just really make whatever you want with foam, and I like that flexibility. But also I really like to use things in the wrong function. So these are all supposed to make structures and constructions and real things that function, and I really enjoy taking that out of it. And
Maybe direct.
I think, and the poisonous part, I wish it wasn't poisonous, because that would be nice. That would be very nice. But yeah, maybe someday materials with the same qualities will be there that I can afford.
I'm thinking of plaster, but that is very vulnerable.
Yeah, but also I think my previous work in my graduation work was a lot with plaster and lock and everything, And I think the roughness that this materials have,
Mm-hmm.
plaster kind of takes that away in a
Mhm.
way. That's why I prefer to work with beton or cement, which is again more harmful but more beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I think you already told us before, or you told me maybe, but still I'm very intrigued by that. Where comes your need come from to go into the digital world?
I think that has to do a lot with growing up in Iran. I think me and people around me, my generation, we grew up kind of digital natives because that was our key to the other world, you know, with all the censorship. I learned English, I learned a lot of the things I know how to do by accessing VPNs or torrents at a very young age. So I think I found this other world in my Pentium 4 like when I was 12, 11. So it became a big part of my reality. And I remember spending so many hours on my computer connecting to a VPN that kept disconnecting just to see and connect to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the very first step. It became a
Is-
part
is-
of my language
Is there no control on that in Ireland?
on the censorship.
Yeah.
The government controls it. So
So
all
it's
we know,
limited, maybe.
it's very limited. So
Yeah.
YouTube, Facebook, everything is filtered. And now it's very normal for us to do. But I realized this when I moved here that this behavior that we have, that we know how to torrent or we know how to use VPNs. A lot of people here never had to do that or don't know how to use these things. And for us, it's very normal to do. You know, like it doesn't matter how old are you. You know, you have to easily connect to a VPN to be able to log into Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or even very mediocre websites. Or if you go, I studied interior design there, and half of the art history books were censored. Of course, like your nude drawing sessions, it's all with clothes. So yeah, there's our control is just to do our way on the ground. It's the only way we can do it. So
Yeah. Well, I can skip my last questions, I think. Well, there a classical last question from me, and then I will ask you to join. Please join. Is there a new project? Is there a new book?
yes. Well, I think this for me is continuous at the moment. I still haven't found the end of what this can be. And this will be ongoing. So the first project starts as soon as I get some more money and I can buy material. That's the next project. For me, I don't need to have a start. If I can just have material, it will come together. But I do have some shows coming up. So I don't know how to say Cologne. Yes,
Keulen.
it's there.
Yeah.
And that is in April.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have a residency in Den Bosch and Denstichting in the summer.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from you guys?
Do you buy or do you find your material?
Both.
Both.
These are from the clients of Casa where he worked. So we stole them from their garbage can. Some of them are from here, some of them I guess half. I don't buy it unless I know I need to use it. And that's the funny thing because like when I go to Bauhaus to shop, they really don't know why I'm there. When they look at my basket, it looks very strange. So most of it is either found or is recycled. So many of these elements are from exhibitions before that are completely transformed. And if I can find it, I wouldn't buy it. I do like the idea of scrap material, leftover material. There's way more quality to it. Yeah. And also, when I buy something new, like the new pieces of foam, I really have to abuse them for them to get that quality that I want. Otherwise, they look a bit too fresh. So, so if you have any scrap materials,
Can you say something about the structure behind you, because it's the only one which is like closed?
Yeah.
I took a peek inside, of
Yes.
course, but can you tell something about the relation between like the closed object and the more like open kind of structures?
Yes. So basically when I started with this research, the spaces and places, I really wanted to make a corridor. That was the very first idea. I wanted to continue the corridor in Y2. And that was one of the first thoughts. And that finally resulted itself in here, but not in the direct way that I say it. It went through many steps for that to happen. So I started with wall sculptures from the wall. I had this idea that I wanted both walls to meet in the middle somehow with the structures that come out of them. And later on, I thought, okay, what if the structure comes in a way more full way and I can kind of manipulate the space because I want to see how you can change the space. And then the structure, it all also goes with the process. I didn't sketch this, I didn't design it, you know, it's just happened. Oh, we need a wall here, it has to be this big, let's make it. And the first idea was to have 2 holes on the side, but then this has a more of a look box feeling. And I have no answer for how they relate, but in my head immediately there's a story and comes, like I see this as a factory line and this is a shed, so it's all these random places that are put together. Also, it's just about the composition. Sometimes like I just have to add things or take away things until that balance is made. And I hope that answers it.
Alright, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Who first?
Oh yeah, let's fight.
You want to go first?
So you reuse, recycle your materials, but then some moments are like very specific or very like also beautiful, you know, obviously. And then you're gonna dismantle this because it's over. And will you like keep some of the moments, or do you like recycle, destroy, make new?
No,
you
some
know?
of them I take home and then I put like I want to use them as furniture in my house.
Right.
But then they stay there for too long. We don't have space because we already have too much stuff. And then it sits there, it dusts, and then it goes up a closet, and then it falls, it breaks, and comes back to the studio.
That's very nice.
So yeah, usually it goes like that. And sometimes I do feel a connection to it, and then I hold to it, and then all of them has an expiration date. They expire, and then yeah, they can be reused unless somebody wants to buy them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also a way of recycling, right?
Of
course,
Stadsigels.
Buy the whole concept actually. Yeah.
Sorry?
Or buy the whole concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my question would be, do you feel that the location where you are working has an influence of you? Like this work indeed looks like a
100%.
shanty, and things that you see start getting in you
Definitely.
and find their way out.
Yeah, that I'm definitely inspired by the location, and I think it also happens unconsciously. I don't have to try much, but I it's like, I don't know, I don't paint, but I assume when painters paint, they have a canvas on the wall and then it's a frame.
Yeah.
For me, the room becomes that frame, and it has to be there. And even when I was making for Y2, I made the things here, but the frame was still Y2. So yeah, I think
Yeah, this is also, I see it also as a painting
yeah,
that you move, that you can also move inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
more physical, definitely. But yeah, I think space has a lot to do with it, and I think that's why I really love my time here, because this idea that you can make work there and then you can just carry it, put it here and look at it, it's something that it's not there often as an artist. You don't have that. You work and look at the same studio, so I think that also was something really great, because I could just individually look at everything first outside of that mess.
And a whole surrounding, in the sense of not only this space, but Northeast Groningen. Does that also as a,
Well, I
what
think
do you think about it?
I said I brought chaos here. I felt like that because like it's quite calm here, and I remember the first day I came here, I was smoking in front, and I could hear the sound of the wind, and I was almost like if you drop a needle, you could hear it. And I came back and turned on the multi-tool. Yeah, so I think the effect of living in the north side of Netherlands have already infected me. It's in me.
Yeah.
So I don't see it anymore, maybe.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's certain aesthetics from, like for example, I love the chaos of Tehran, and I think a lot of these random things for me are still images and bits and pieces of the aesthetics of my city. So this rough mix of material, for example, in Tehran, there's no regulations on buildings, so you can walk next to an old house that's next to a Roman kind of house, next to a granite house, like, you know, it's really random. And I think I still have way more influence from home, because for me, it's too calm here. I need
It is.
more excitement.
It is.
More
We need more
chaos.
people like Helia and Bierumer.
Yes.
I wish there was someone from the, I can never remember that word, the gemeente.
Yeah.
Municipality.
Now we can send them the video. Hey, you.
Yeah, because what you just said, that there are not many spaces like this where you can work and look at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's really big thing, because like at the moment my studio is at Selechte in Groningen, and it's very low and it's very difficult, and what you said, the space definitely makes a difference, because there all the works I make are cramped up and tiny, and then, so yeah, more spaces like this would be great.
Yeah, I just wondered.
Oh.
Sorry.
Sorry, just wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, I just one question, because you were talking about the chaos, but on the same hand, I just heard some weeks ago that strong colors and strong forms are helping the nervous system to calm down, even when you combine them, or if you look at them, they can really feel like when I go from one form to the next, that I can come out of like even stress and stuff, and how if this is like something I realized too.
I think what you said actually makes so much sense. I didn't know about it, but then that answers actually your previous question, I think, in a way, because that energy and that chaos is, maybe that's why I do it. You know, what you mentioned is a scientific thing, so that helps a lot.
That bring something in form, but at the same hand you still have it, like the chaos. So I think for me it's a bit like getting orientation with.
Yeah, that's very true, because I think the chaos is in the making, not necessarily always in the end result, because I do end up, you know, it's quite structured sometimes, and the chaos is in the little elements that come together and make the chaos, but I think the main part of it is in my making process and in how I deal with it, and it's not that necessarily the aftermath must hold that chaos, because it's already in the process of it. Does that answer?
Yes, I just wanted to know if you have like experiencing.
No, but I'm gonna look it up, because that's interesting.
Yeah, I was just wondering how much like sketching out you do. If you do any drawings or you just work intuitively.
I do drawings sometimes, and I do sometimes sketches. Actually, I do a lot of sketches at the beginning. I even like make maybe 3 examples of how Y2 should be in Blender, and it has nothing to do with what I sketched. So, like, but also, for example, last night, you know, sometimes I have to sketch to keep things in mind. For example, I cannot work on one thing. So when I work, I'm fixing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and then I have an idea, and then I have to draw it quickly so I can come back to it and make it. But the sketching is very much at the beginning part, and when the making happens, I also have to say this material allows me to sketch it live, so I don't have to make everything super solid. A lot of times I just place things, look at them, I don't screw them, and then, you know, it's more of a live kind of sketch.
I was wondering, because you in the past did interior design.
Yes.
Coincidentally, I did the same in the past, but so there's a link. But how did that start, or let's say, is there something left of that in your work, or how did that develop?
I think it's coming out after a really long time. Like I studied when 2014, 15, back in Iran I did my study, and I just couldn't sit behind the desk. It was just impossible, and I was really more interested in the artistry. So when I was doing interior design, I wanted to know more about artistry, therefore I entered the art world. And now, after 7, 8, maybe 10 years, those, the interior design things are coming back. And it's funny because I'm doing exactly opposite of what I've been taught in school, how to, do interior design. But I think I'm more interested in architecture and how you can, especially modern architecture, especially the non-functional ones. So the elements are coming back, but mostly also in the context of history, like architecture history and the old works that I'm really interested in. I think my school that I studied would be very confused to see this.
When I was on the top floor, I saw projections of the sculptures in Y2.
Yeah.
I see here a corridor, that is the prolongation of Y2.
Yeah.
And on the top floor I also saw a projection of what is happening here.
Yes.
And you were talking about design in Blender of what you are doing in Y2, what you wanted to do in Y2.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, would you go further with augmented reality?
I would love to. With the augmented reality, the poster of Bierumer is with AR at the moment. So if you scan the poster, you will have the houses coming out. But with AR is something that I have to do way more research in how I want to make that interface happen. So for me, accessibility is very important. That's why I don't work with VR anymore as much, because there's never enough goggles for everybody to put on. And it's the same with AR. What I experienced with my previous works is that not everybody's phone loads it, not everybody knows how to work with it. So I would like to continue experimenting with AR when I have a budget to rent 30 phones, have it available at the exhibition so everybody can do it. Not that something that you need guidance for, because it should be just as easy as this. But I would love to. So.